Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for tuning in. We're just a few minutes behind, but that's okay. You know how technology goes. We got to make sure all our I's are dotted and T's are crossed, but we are here and we're excited. It actually feels like I haven't talked to you all in a long time. I don't know if it's just me, Miss Sage, but I kind of feel like it's been a while for some odd reason, even though we do, as you know, come every month with an empowerment virtual workshop. Giving some good information in reference to changing our behaviors, information in terms of skills that you can acquire, or just different resources that we can give from our speakers. We've had an amazing run. It's been about this year. We're on, so obviously this is April. We've had speakers all the way from California, from Charlotte. I mean, these women that we've had on thus far have been amazing. And I just want to take this time, one, to thank Miss Sage for her hard work at connecting and networking and getting us these amazing people to, take time out of their day to provide information to our community here in Lexington, North Carolina. I'm so grateful for you, Miss Sage. So I'm really appreciative of that. And so we're going to give a couple minutes right now. We're not showing anybody in. I just want to give people some time to come in. And if whenever you do enter, if you could definitely just send us a message and say hello, so we know that you are in the room. So I'll just give a couple seconds on that. Again, just welcome yourselves in, send us a message and say hello, like the video. And also feel free to share. Like I said, we are giving these workshops because we really do care about our community. We want you all to do well. We are definitely rooting for everyone to be self-sufficient and to take the tools and the knowledge that we are given and apply it somewhere in your life. So I'm just going to turn it over. And as you know, every time we do these, we will have questions at the end, and we will allow people to ask questions, and definitely feel free to interact. I want people more to comment so that we know that you're listening and you have questions and you have concerns. This particular workshop is about employment resources. We're all kind of feeling that right now with the uncertainty of certain things with COVID. But I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Miss Sage. She is going to introduce our wonderful speaker, Miss Rhonda. I know you all have seen her or work with her in probably some capacity at some point. So Miss Sage, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you.
Yes, I am Sage Chioma, the coordinator of B.O.S.S Initiative, which is the acronym for Build Our Success Stories. And today, Miss Middlebrooks and I always comment on her expertise with the technology. We're ever so thankful today that we are going to have a local person who is a stakeholder in our community, and she is Rhonda Wagner. She's the employment specialist for Goodwill Industries of Northwest North Carolina. Her work site is located at 719 West Center Street in Lexington, and for 20 plus years, she's been active in the community, which also allows her to serve as an advocate for those in need of employment and or guidance. Her passion is to assist those who are looking to become self-sufficient. And that's what this forum is all about. Whitney's the coordinator of family self-sufficiency. I'm the coordinator of building our own success stories. And so as well as she assists those to reach their career goals, therefore she's collaborating with some amazing businesses. And I think you'll be surprised by the information she has to offer today about our local area. And with that, I give you Miss Rhonda Wagner.
Well, first of all, I just want to say to Miss Whitney and Miss Sage, it's wonderful to be a part of this. I don't remember exactly how I came upon you guys on social media, but it intrigued me so much. I just sat there and I started just watching and listening to you guys, and so much great information. And as I sat there, I thought about, wow, what a great and awesome opportunity people have. You guys are always supplying this information for individuals. And if we would only listen, if we would only take that advice and continue on. So I am glad to be here. I miss, coming on site for the workshops. We haven't been together in a long time due to COVID, but I'm thankful to be here on today. And Whitney, if you would go to the next slide, please.
Okay, give me 1 second.
Of course, I want to speak to you guys concerning what Goodwill, our Workforce Development Center, and what we have to offer. For instance, resume, cover letter, thank you note, computer assistant, job search, mock interview, and interview assistance, application. Go to the next one. Oh no, there was more, but I have my paper here. Veterans program, project reentry, the youth program, and success outfitter, job fairs. We are partnered with Davidson County Community College, and our president, who is Art Gibble, who has retired in December, and our new president, Barbara Stroll. They allow people to come in and have job fairs at our site. But I want to go back to resume. For instance, a lot of people feel like resume, you put abbreviation on resumes. That's not so much a good thing, because you may have an individual that may not even be from this area and may not know what that acronym means to them. So it's best to go on and spell out those things that you put on your resume. Cover letter, thank you note. For instance, if an employer has maybe interviewed 3 people and your skills are basically somewhat familiar, that may be an indication. If you send a thank you note, that employer may think about, hey, I remember this individual sent the thank you note. So that would set you apart from the others that may have been already been interviewed. Mock interviews. We have Davidson County Business Advisory Council. Our members are great members where we can call them up if someone may say, I have not interviewed in a long time and I'm nervous about it and I need someone to speak with concerning interview or interview questions. We can call up our business leaders and they actually will interview them, and they will have a mock interview. At the end of this presentation, I have the names of the business leaders who have graciously, accepted the partnership with us, and they will interview those. But we do that only by appointments because we want to, we respect someone's time. So we have to call them and make sure that we are put on schedule for that. So interview assistants, we too here at Goodwill, not only just our business leaders, but we also allow people to come in and we can do the interview assessment as well. But what happens is sometimes people get familiar with us. So we feel like it's a lot better when we can reach out to our business leaders and they interview those individuals.
I have a question, Ms. Wagner. Do you suggest or recommend that when somebody comes in or is setting up a mock interview appointment, do you recommend that they actually dress the part versus, coming in their more casual clothes? Do you suggest that they actually dress like they're actually going to be interviewed?
You know what, Ms. Whitney, that's an awesome question. And I never have really thought about that. But, a lot of time our mindset, if you dress up, I think that makes a difference. If you come in here with jeans on or a t-shirt or whatever, I would think you don't feel that. But just think about when we dress up. When we dress up, you feel good, you look good, and you do better. So I would say that's good. And I never really have thought about that, but good question.
Yes.
So I think it's up to the individual. If you really want it, maybe you would think about that. Yeah, I'm going to dress up as if I'm going on this interview right now. So good question. I'm glad you asked that. So
yeah,
that's something that we can talk about.
Yeah, I would recommend for anybody listening, if you are going to take advantage of the mock interview, I highly suggest and almost require that you at least put on something that you feel good in, something that's professional, because it does set a tone. It does make you feel better. It makes you really be in the part of the actual interview. So I would just say, do it. Just try. Yeah.
Right. Actually, years ago, we actually had a camera while we were dialoguing with that individual. We actually used to have a camera, and they would see where you're a little fidgety or whatever, and then we would talk about that. So that would be something good that we could go back to, hopefully, but because that really helps.
Yes.
A thank you note. Let's go back to that, because really, you think about that. If you and 2 more people have interviewed with this employer and you want to set yourself apart from that individual just by, you go home and you that same day, you just write up, I'm Rhonda Wagner. Thank you for the interview. I would really like an opportunity and be an asset of the company. It doesn't have to be something long. It can be one or two sentences and send that. But that tidbit could set you apart from the other two applicants. Can we go to the next? Application. Being turned down, rejected for a position you've applied for. Employers are also moving toward robots to manage the application applicants are submitting. Employers have reached a bottleneck of application. They don't have time or energy to go through a stack of application. Have you guys even heard of that? Because I just heard about this last week, actually. And because employers are so overwhelmed with application and they are needing people on these jobs, but they're going robotic. And these robots are the ones, so you may not even hear from a human person. If you haven't heard anything from anybody, a human may not even been the one who actually saw your application. A robotic machine did. So I thought that was very interesting.
If you want to call.
Excuse me?
Yeah. So I think that hearing that, I'm not shocked. I figured, I'm very familiar with the process of, applications and all of that. I think that it kind of, I get it because it does help with the workflow for the employer and then those employees that are going through it. But sometimes it kind of, if you're on the applicant side, I'm pretty sure you're just like, nobody even saw me. They didn't even care about my application. They just zip right through it. So I know that applicants, it makes you feel like nobody looked at it. Right. And you get that no. And do you have any recommendations or any advice for people that have constantly heard no's? And it's like, I've gotten to that point, like, now what? Everything is no. And with the bots and the robots, it's like, nobody didn't even look at it. So what type of advice would you give, since you've been in this industry so long, as to how to deal with the rejection and the no?
I would now be, if employers are working toward robots, I would say now you're going to have to make sure that you use those key words. Your verbiage is probably going to have to change, because I also understand that it's being kicked out. If you don't use the right type of verbiage or your words, now it's being kicked out, where you may be an actually great candidate for this position, but due to this robot, they may not even get to hear that. So now if it's robotic, I would make sure. And even going back to the resume, we do want resumes to look wonderful, be formatted well. But when you use those bullet points, that's what the employers is really interested. They want to see what type of skills and experiences that you have. Not necessarily, of course, you want your resume to look nice, but you make sure that you make sure that your experience and your history is what they see on the application, because you got to think about it. They don't have time to go through a lot of wording, and they just want those key words, those key points. What are your experiences? What is your history? How long were you on a job? And even due to COVID, even if you have been out of work due to COVID, even if you had to, had to go on a leave to take care of a loved one or whatever, put that down, because you may have gained some skills and knowledge even during that time. That's something else that now you have, that skills and experiences, that's something that you still can share with the employer, because that creative thinking, you may have to do something with that loved one or whatever. It's still, that's a point that you were actually working, even though it may have been a loved one. And because of that gap in your application, you still can share that information, because that employer, you never know what else that employer is thinking about, that they can pull from even that experience.
Perfect. Yes.
Here at Career Connection, we also have the Veterans Program. And as you can see, Janice Richardson is the coordinator of the veterans program. Our veterans come in who are seeking employment as well as their family members. And I've also submitted her cell phone numbers because she's not only in the office, but she also works from home. Therefore, if you would like to set up an appointment with Janice Richardson, her information is there. Project Reentry. Debbie Compton is the employment specialist for Project Reentry. Project Reentry is for individuals who have been incarcerated and now are getting back into the workforce. Debbie Compton assists those individuals who are seeking employment. Her information is there as well. And I would say to make an appointment, and that way you guys can actually, she does take individuals into our building here, but she also, you guys can set it up appointment and go from there. The youth program is with Kim Bell. Kim Bell is the coordinator that's 16 to 22 years old. She assists those individuals who are out of school, but now her focus is to get them in some type of alternative of education. We do want our young people to finish school or whatever. So she and that student will discuss that, as well as those who are seeking employment. She would assist them with that need as well. Our Success Outfitter clothing closet, actually, we just had a grand opening yesterday. Even though we have been allowing people even before now, we had a grand opening. But individuals are for those individuals who are in our programs. If you're in any capacity of a program here at Goodwill Career Connection, you're considered someone that has access to our clothes closet. Of course, once you come or you call to make an appointment, then one of us will go downstairs with you. We do now have the male and female clothing. We have shoes, accessory, belts, anything that you need to prepare you for an interview. That's in our closed column. Job fairs. Not only does
Ms. Rhonda, I wanted to ask real quick.
Okay.
For the clothing closet, is there a fee for that? Do people have to pay for it, or is it something that's donated to the participant? Let me know how that works for those that may not be familiar with that.
Okay, great question. It's free.
Okay.
It is free, and our donations not only come from staff, it also comes from those who, the general public, who are making donations. We have other business leaders where they donate. Actually, it started from people would call us and say they understood that we are workforce, and people are coming in concerning clothing. A lot of the employers did not want, a lot of the people who were donating did not want their clothing or their items to go to the store. They wanted it for our building here, for those who were seeking employment. So this is really how that got started. So we really appreciate that, because they recognize people may not have that. I know sometimes, even when I was working with Work First, some people would say, I don't have dress codes. I would say, yes, you do. If you were going out to a club or whatever, you had those something, but a lot of them would say, no, I don't. So, these clothing, the dress pants, the suits, the dresses, and whatever, we have that in our closet.
So I have another question to add to piggyback on the question that Whitney asked.
Okay.
If I heard you right, that means that only the people who are in your program can come to it, and not
Correct.
necessarily somebody who just says, I have an interview, but they never were a part of the Goodwill program.
Well, if they can show that they truly have an interview, or they have interviewed and they need something, then if they can show proof of that, yes, they can. But
and if a person did come through your program, you know how sometimes they'll just say, well, fill up a bag. Is there a limit to the amount of outfits they can get, or
there's a limit for an interview. You have to think about, this is more so for interview. So you would need a bag of clothing. You would need something for your interview.
Yes. Okay.
And so, just to make sure everybody, because people probably are thinking this and may don't want to ask. So thanks, Sage, for asking additional questions. But I'm also wondering, so for them to get into your program, they would need to contact you and make sure that they're part of all of the resources and things that you all have going on at Goodwill to be a part of it, correct?
to be in the program, I mean, all the programs that I just named, the veterans program, the youth program, project reentry. As you guys know, we used to have the work first contract. We no longer, after June of 2020, we no longer have the work first contract. But any individual who has utilized if you come here and are utilizing our services and get an interview, of course, we will assist that. We would take that person downstairs to our clothes closet.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you for explaining that. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you for the question.
Yes.
I put down Davidson County Community College. Davidson, we are in partnership with Davidson County Community or Davidson Community College. We are in partnership with them, and we've had day classes as well as classes in the evening as well. But due to COVID, we have not had any classes here. But once that COVID is lifted and we can go back to normal, we would start those programs back up again.
Okay.
Site usage of building for training, and it's free. And I put Art Gilbo, who was our president. He resigned or retired December of 2020. And now Barbara Manda Stoll is our president, CEO now. But when our president put us in this building, he wanted us to stay busy. And our new president, she's the same way. She wants us to stay busy. We are community oriented. So we allow people to come here, and some people have done their training, just to name a few employers that I can think about: Walmart, Sheetz, Arby. They've had their trainings here. And so, and a lot of people may even charge something, but there's no fee. So you're able to utilize our building free.
Awesome. I just wanted to let everybody know to definitely screenshot this information. This is something that you should definitely want to come back to for these particular resources and contact names, just to make sure you have that if you needed to want to be involved, or if you happen to be a veteran, or some youth, or anyone that can benefit from the particular resources that Ms. Rhonda just listed. So thank you.
Thank you. Personal experience, work history. I want to just tell, and I won't take a lot of time about this. Several years ago, now I've been with Goodwill, actually 2021 will be 20 years.
Wow.
But the longevity also was with Mid-State Tile. By the time that the company moved to Mexico, it was called Porcelain Needed. Mm-hmm. And even with that, and if they had been here in August of that particular year, I would have been with them 19 years. And I think what really interested me in this position, when I came on board, which was in 2001, I had to interview with Goodwill Industries and also Davidson County Social Service. And what interests me was I felt that I would be working with individuals, how some people are down on yourself just because you feel like you're not educated. You may not have this or that than somebody else does. That still doesn't limit you. You are gifted and talented yourself. Everybody, we all have some expertise inside of us. Mm-hmm. So, and I know this is not the motivational, this is about employment, but I want you to know that, for instance, when I was working at Mid-State Tile, I went in there. First of all, I graduated and went to school, went to college. I was enrolled with Ashmore Business College. My first year, just loving it and just going around. But then I met my husband, mm-hmm. and that changed everything. And I was no longer really interested in school. My mind was on it, and in the afternoon he played ball, and I want to go to those ball games. I didn't want to be involved with work. I wanted to be with this man.
Yeah.
So we get sidetracked. So, mm-hmm. But I always knew I wanted to work. And so when I started working, I knew that I'm making money, and I wasn't thinking about anybody at Mid-State looking at me, watching me, or whatever, watching the work that I was doing. But maybe after a year, my supervisor came to me and wanted me to be a lead person. So when a lead person went to a supervisor, then a superintendent of the company, my thing is, I just want you to know that you never know who's watching you. You continue to do your work. You do the best job that you can. Even if you feel like they don't appreciate me, you're not doing it you're doing it for yourself, actually. So, and I remember when I was a supervisor, there's some things that maybe the next shift wasn't doing or whatever. My husband used to say, they not look, they don't care nothing about you. You doing spending all that time trying to help them do. I wasn't doing it for that. I enjoy doing that. So it doesn't matter. But you do you do the best job that you can. And even if you feel like you don't have the education, well, why don't you? You move forward. You make sure that you do have those things, but you watch how your life change. So that's just a personal note, and just like for the Work First program, when I came here, which was in 2001, the manager was here, a classroom instructor. They needed an employment specialist who they hired me for, and they needed a van driver. That was it. And that's when Work First, there were a lot of participants on Work First at that particular time, but we made it work. And I honestly, I love to see individuals who feel like they can't make it when they really can, but you just have to put forth an effort. And just like the information, Miss Whitney and Miss Sage, that you guys are supplying for individuals is wonderful. Just if people, just like today or later on, somebody goes to this and they hearing this information and don't take it in, you receive it, but what are you going to do about it? You can move forward. You can move forward. There's employers out here that are even, and I'm probably going to, I'm sure down this on down this presentation is something that I put, but employers are even they're opening their doors where their standards used to be a little more stricter, and I won't say that they've dropped their standards, but they're not as strict as they used. Now is the most wonderful time for you to step in and get that job. Show them what you can do. You have to show them what you can do. Were you getting ready to say something, Miss Whitney?
No, I was just agreeing. I was your amen corner.
I have a question.
Okay.
There was an employer that you said had as many as 300 jobs or something. I forgot. It was an astronomical number.
It was. Now I remember who that was, though.
It was a company. I don't know if they make hosiery or I forgot. It was a huge company.
It was, and
it was not right in Lexington. It was right outside of Lexington.
Right. I remember telling you that. I don't remember exactly who that was now, but yes, they do.
How could you not remember who it was? Because you said the name right like that.
Yeah, I don't remember who that was now.
Okay, but it was a company that actually really is looking to hire a large amount of people, but they would need transportation. Because from what you told me, they weren't right in Lexington. They were right on the outskirts, maybe.
Was it Ashley Furniture?
Yes.
Yeah.
Ashley Furniture.
Ashley Furniture.
And you said they had a lot of jobs, openings.
Right. And actually, the recruiter manager, she's one of our Davidson County Business Advisory, which Whitney also is a member. And that's why we want to bring people to the table. Let us know these positions that are open, what the need is. Yeah, and they are one that come here for the job fairs as well. So when you guys hear that, when people hear that Ashley Furniture is going to be here, if you're really seeking employment, and that's why I've started also reaching out. We're reaching out to church families as well concerning positions that we have open, because you may be in church sitting beside somebody that really has a need. They may have worked all of their lives, and whatever, something may happen. Even due to COVID, some companies have closed down, so they may go to the pastor, and you may not know the need. So we felt like if we start reaching out to the pastors, they too now will have those tools to know who's hiring. So once they come for the services, as far as whatever the need may be, the church family can serve them with that. But they can also say, hey, why don't you go to Goodwill Creek Connection? There's someone hiring. There's a job fair. So we send that information to them to make sure that they have that information as well.
Yeah, and I just want to piggyback on that, Ms. Rhonda, that in terms of the church, I actually had a conversation this week with a local pastor in Lexington. And we had spoke about, the potential partnership of being able to filter those jobs. And if they know something, it's like as we're all working together to serve the same community. So we just want to be all collaborative in that way to help our community. If there's jobs available, maybe you know somebody that knows somebody. And also, if you're in this live, just know that I do share as much as I can about jobs. I even send it specifically to our FSS participants who, understand, they are required to maintain employment. So just know that we're always filtering it out. We can't get you the job, but what we can do is we can make sure that we, help you to get there and provide you with those tools and the best practices to shine through your interview for sure.
Right. And I'm glad you said that, because sometimes I used to hear with the workforce population, well, she didn't get me a job, or they didn't get me a job. We cannot get a person, but we can be that vehicle, that avenue that you can utilize us. That's what we're here for. We're the ones that's communicating with the employer. So if we have a good candidate, then the work is up to you. We play a small part in it, but we enjoy what we're doing, and we want to see people successful. And you're right. We're collaborating together, and we're all breathing together. We care about our city, we care about our county, and we want to help people.
Absolutely.
Know your self-worth. What do you think about yourself? Think about this. What do you value? Are you happy with your experience? Do you feel you've accomplished your goal? What do you think you're good at? And this is on a side slow show. This is a presentation, but I want you to really think about those things.
Yeah.
Hopefully somebody will really think about those questions.
If you feel comfortable, if anyone's, those that are watching, if you want to put an adjective that describes how you feel about yourself, or what do you value, your happy experiences, or if you want to share that. So if you put it in there, I'll definitely share it on the screen as Ms. Rhonda continues to talk this through. I think this is an important question. I'm glad that sometimes we do have to realize that in order to figure out what our gifts are and talents are and skills are, and so that can get us into those right positions and right, jobs, and that can really help us allow that to shine, So, but if you can't identify it, I could imagine it being more difficult probably to even navigate to the right job, or navigate to through the right career. So if you feel comfortable, feel free to share, but you can go ahead, Ms. Rhonda.
Okay, thank you. All of us have gifts and talents inside of us, and please understand that you do have a gift, even though you may think that you don't, or somebody it has been hurtful for me sometimes to hear people come into the program and they say, even if they did not finish their GED, or they didn't get their high school diploma, now they have enrolled in the GED program, how even family members will say, you never make it, or that's hurtful to us. And we want to encourage you that yes, you can. You sometimes you have to put all the negativity out and move forward. We only have you have to figure it out. It's important to you. You will figure it out, your own uniqueness. And I can't see it on that.
Yeah, and I just wanted to highlight the pastor that's actually viewing from Cornerstone Community Church in Lexington. They put that one of their gifts or talents is motivator. So that's good to know. And I think that as we go through this presentation, that again, we all just kind of think about it. If you want to jot it down, you don't have to share, but I think it's good to know and start realizing what your talents and gifts are. So thank you for sharing your comment from the church, Pastor. I appreciate it.
Right. If it's important to you, you will figure it out. Your own uniqueness make you special and needed. What does uniqueness mean? Next slide. Uniqueness as a noun, the quality of being particular, remarkable, special, or unusual. And your unusual gets with somebody else unusual, that's powerful. So it's needed. Your creativity and someone else's creativity together is powerful. So always think about that. Do you think you don't have a way to identify what you're good at? Volunteer somewhere. Think about something that you're interested in. Can you volunteer? Volunteer. If you do know and you've identified it, then push yourself. Don't give up. Pursue it. Put the right people in your corner. And guys, really think about that. Put the right people. So many times, people that have the, like I said, everybody has gift and talent, but some people, you just have that gift and you're just sitting on it, not doing anything. But what it is that you need, sometimes people need someone, we always say, encourage yourself. Some people can encourage themselves, but some people cannot. Therefore, if you cannot encourage, surround yourself with people who are encouragers and somebody's just going to tell you the truth. If they see you getting off track or doing something else, you want somebody to hold you accountable. So surround yourself with people who give you a responsibility. Iron sharpens iron. Pursue those things which inspires you. Nothing or no one can inspire you but you, because we can do this all day long. We can have a workshop all day long, but if you're not inspired, if you're not willing to change, you're not going to change. So we encourage you to. We're going to be here. We're going to continue to keep plugging in, but only you can inspire you. You can do it. Next slide. Any questions?
Does anybody have any comments or anything they want to share? If not, we can move right along.
Okay. I want to say something. I'll make it very quick. I just can really appreciate Miss Wagner's inspiration for people and her being able to meet people where they are, because some people didn't have people to motivate them. As a matter of fact, it was the complete opposite. And so when you talked earlier about if you had a hardship, you don't have to bleed all over in the interview. But if you had a loved one that passed or whatever, those are, or say you had to care for like a caregiver, those are soft skills. And your soft skills are important to an employer.
Right.
Like if you're able to get through adversity and still be very graceful and all of those things.
Right.
But I like when she talks about the uniqueness, being unique, because some people want to fit in and that's how they get in trouble instead of looking at what they have that makes them stand out.
Right.
So I really can appreciate those comments, because that's what me and Miss Middlebrooks do all day long. Bring presenters here that are going to motivate you to know that there are challenges, and this woman here has dedicated 20 plus years to second chances. That's what, Goodwill is really about. So thank you for that.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. Let's talk. What employers are saying. What are you saying? As a workforce development center, we hear what employers are saying. On the flip side of that, as a workforce and development center, we hear what potential employers are, what employees are saying too. So let's talk about that. What we hear employers say. Employers have started, like I said, to not drop their standards, but they're not as strict as they used to be because they're trying to get those people in and give people opportunities. But on the other hand, people who are coming into the center says there's no jobs out there. Where there are jobs out there, and if you truly come in and are ready to work, then we want to help you with that. You hear that sound?
Hello?
Yeah, I'm hearing that echo. We know employers are looking at best practices for their business needs and their employees. How or do you approach an employer when you're concerned with your concern? Do you complain? Now, with an employer has to look at their best practices because they want to remain open. They are an employer, so of course they're going to look to see what are our needs and what can we do and what can we not do. But we oftentimes are hearing employers say that they will hire someone and they may work to break time, or they may work a week, or they make them work an hour and then leave. If it gets to be overwhelming, why not talk to the employer? Say, this is overwhelming. I've never worked before, or it's been a long time since I worked, or I'm new at this, or I'm not comfortable with it because of this. A lot of times you have to give yourself time. Just to go back to something else that my mother did, not my father. My father probably would have just let me, I wouldn't have had to work. But my mother got me a job. I was 16 years old. just got out of school for the summer. She got me a job at, and those of you from Lakeland, I'm sure you remember Dakota Cotton Mill. Now I understand that I heard that there were some nice departments, but the department that I was in was not nice. Well, anyway, she got me, and I worked 4 hours. I worked 4 hours a week, but when that supervisor gave me my paycheck, oh, it was on. From there on, I wanted to work. But and she used to also say she was going to take me. We were going to go to the bank and start putting some of it back. But we never got to the bank, so I appreciate that too. So just gas and food and clothes. So, but it was my money. So that's wonderful for us to make sure that we have those um, even for you that have children, our children need to see us work, because you want to see that cycle of my mom and dad, or my mom, they work, they want to work as well. So oftentimes when the work first population would get a job, they used to say when they went home, they said, "Mama, you working?" They get excited. And the first model that they see is us. They shouldn't have to look at what's in the street. They got to look at us. So we're the model. So when they see us work, they want a pattern right behind us too. So, make sure that you showing them that no, we're gonna work, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this.
Awesome. Yeah.
Employers would like to hear your thoughts concerning the business. So, like I said, don't complain. If you are, talk to somebody that can make the difference. Um, now, and I'll keep saying it. I feel like now is the best time that if you got concerns or whatever, speak with the employer, because they're coming around the table too. They're coming around the table and thinking about things as well, and what you share with us. So if you're all one that you complain to other, you may complain to your friend or family members or whatever, make sure you go to that employer and talk to the employer and see what they have to say. They may or may not do anything, but at least you voiced your opinion to them, and it may be something that they can do. You never know. Employer standards has changed, and we talked about that. And are you willing to hang in there? Hang in there. I think just as, like I said, as a young girl and didn't want to work during that summertime, I hung in there. The benefit was that I now had a paycheck. So that's the benefit. Sometimes we have to work through things. And sometimes you may, like I said, you may not even know who's watching you. On Monday, this past Monday, we had our team. Goodwill has a team meeting every Monday, and someone reported how there was an individual that she had only been on the job for 9 months, and now she's already moving up. So not even so less than a year. And Goodwill is one that you're working well. They have investment to move on. So hang in there. You never know who's watching and who would like to advance you.
Absolutely.
Benefits. Do you weigh your options? Um, I've heard employers talk about how some people have left their company and went somewhere else because the other company was paying more. But they also, two of them, it's three, and two of them went back to that same company because they thought it was going to be better on the other side, but they were going after that dollar. I must say, and please, when I say that, understand it's not like, oh, she thinks she's got it like that. I remember even taking this position, which was in 2001. Now, I'm coming from my last job that I had been in 19 years was with Porcelain, Mid-State Tile Porcelain Eden. This was a $9,000 cut. Now, somebody may not believe it, but it really was. But when I read the job description of this particular job, this had my interest, and the because of what I knew that I wanted to do, that's why I have a passion for it. We're here to serve those individuals that need our assistance. And it wasn't about so much about, I remember talking to my husband, I talked to my dad and all, and of course they were saying, you do what you feel like is best for you, but you have to weigh your options. I could have went somewhere else and not been happy. But I have been happy. You may say, you've been on that job that long? Yes. I've enjoyed what I've been doing. And we have a great team of people here, and it's been great. It's a partnership and investment. employers are looking for a partnership. They're looking for someone to invest in the company as well. You're not just a body just to be there. They want you to invest in it as well. And when you do invest, you're going to be there. When we talked about, Miss Sage talked about soft skills. You're going to keep those soft skills because you care about what you're doing. You care about the company. Yes, you're making money, but you have invested. Not only is the employer investing in you, but you have invested in that company as well. So your commitment is needed and it is necessary.
Do you want to go to the next slide?
Yes.
Okay.
What are employers saying? We need employees. We're giving opportunities, giving incentives. We've looked at pay scales. Some employers are changing their pay rate. Who I personally know, like this week, I know that's hiring Goodwill Industries, Ashley Furniture, Brookstone Retirement Center, Howard Health, Holiday Inn Express, and I love it when employers call here and say we have a need. And just yesterday was when Brookstone Retirement Center called. So those and there's more jobs out there, but these are the most recent people that I know that I've actually spoken with, because I'm also calling out to employers who are hiring, and we want them to come to the table with us. And we want to hear the needs so that there may be some type of training that they see people may need or whatever. So that way, Goodwill Industries and Davidson County Community College, we can get together and form a class or whatever. So, like you say, we're all collaborating together to assist these that are in our communities. Next slide, please. And this is just a list, guys, of our Davidson County Business Advisory Council members. When I talked about sometimes people need mock interviews, well, this is the list of employers who are willing to do that. And we would just have to call. And as Whitney knows, she's a part of this Davidson County Business Advisory Council membership as well. And knows a lot of great collaboration, networking goes on, and it's just a great place because where Goodwill Industries here, we may not be able to serve someone because of a service that we may not have. We know that there are business leaders that we know that we can reach out to. So it's just a great collaboration together. Next slide. Well, here at Goodwill Career Connection Workforce Development Center, we're here to assist you with your employment needs. Thank you, Lexington Housing Authority, for your continual commitment for providing housing to tenants, resources, and the day-to-day valuable information to assist those in need. We appreciate you. If you have any questions or concerns and or assistance with your employment need, here's the center's operation information. And then I've listed that. But I also want to leave you guys with I saw this I wish I had been the one that came up with it, but I saw this on one of Goodwill's flyers. It says, "Are you merely surviving instead of thriving?" I thought that was good. So, are you merely surviving instead of thriving? So, this lets you know that nearly surviving, you don't have to do that. You can actually survive. You can make it, but you're going to have to be the one to put forth an effort. All of this collaboration, even on today, is good. But if you don't take it in, you're hearing it, but if you don't take it in, you can't make it. You won't make it. And you got a family, those of you with family, they need to see you make it. So we all are here. Miss Whitney, Miss Sage, all are here. Goodwill Industries, staff, we love to serve people. NC Works, I hear this often. Thinking about this. NC Works, a lot of times people say, well, what's the difference between NC Works? As if we're working, we're being competitive. No, we're all for the same common goal. We're here to serve people. And one thing about NC Works, they have some funding. We don't have it funded. But we all collaborate together. And actually, they used to be a part of our Davidson County Business Advisory, and Pam and I just talked. So now they're rejoining us again. We're all in this for the sake of people and the success of people. So thank you. But if you guys have any questions or concerns,
I just want to personally thank you for the information. I hope that you all were at least able to screenshot some of those so that you can go back and refer to and jot some of that down if you're not in the opportunity to actually write it down, screenshot it and save those things and that information. As she mentioned, the Lexington has Housing Authority. I am a part of the Business Advisory Council, and like I said, it's all collaborative to try to help you all. And I would love for you to tell the story of the lady behind you because being participants that are actually a part of the Lexington Housing Authority, we really want to dismantle and really at least work with the mindset of possibly the fear of working because something is going to take away your benefits or there's a fear of that. But being a part of the FSS program, as you all know, for those who are watching, one of the goals is to maintain and seek employment. We can't be fearful of that. We cannot run from that. We have to continue to push that because, as she said, you have families, you have children watching you. Having a job and starting a career is nothing that should be we have to change them out of the fear of it because you can move on and continue to make a great salary and be able to not need assistance and be able to take care of your family on your own and not even you feel good about it because there isn't a struggle, there isn't that thing of how am I going to do this and how am I going to do that. So if you could tell that story, they may have already heard it, but I think it's important to reiterate the success stories of people that have been a part of the housing authority on assistance and have taken advantage of the job opportunities through Goodwill or their programs and are living their best life right now because they didn't let that fear or whatever that was behind them or what they were used to stop them from going. So if you could share that.
I will be glad to, Miss Whitney. Behind me is Tracy Lockhart Green. Tracy Lockhart is the deputy sheriff for Davidson County, and I actually called her before we got on because she said it's something that a lot of people in Lexington housing may know her, and they call her. They have a name for her, and it's a nice name. Wasn't a bad name. It was a nice name. But I was going to remind people of this. But um, when I got hired on with the Work First program with Goodwill and the partnership between Goodwill and Davis County Social Service, Tracy was already in the Work First program, and she was my actually first client. And so we went through long-term, short-term goals. What was she interested in? And she really didn't. She said she really hadn't thought a lot about it. But then she said, a police officer. I have thought about a police officer once before. And we encouraged her to go to basic law enforcement training at Davidson County Community College, but while she was on Work First, and those of you who know anything about the Work First program, you have to get your participation hours in. So to get her participation hours in, and part of my job has always been to also go out and get contracts for the Work First program. So I went to the police department. They couldn't sign a contract with Work First, but I went to Davidson County 911, and Davidson County 911 did sign a contract. That's where she participated in her work experience, as well as when she did graduate, she did get a job with Davidson County Sheriff's Department. So she's been there now 18 years. So isn't
Wow.
that wonderful? And actually, yes, last night I talked to her because I was hoping that she could come on because I was actually wanting her to come on with her uniform and show
Yeah.
people. And see, one thing about her story, Goodwill did a big story. She actually won the Goodwill National Award. She's been on TV before. We've got not only this poster, she's in one of our other reports. She has really done very well. But she talked about how her family was also on Work First. And she said, she was a little embarrassed, but she pushed on. She had two kids, but she has persevered and she is doing well and she continues to do well. So it's out here, guys. If you want to make a difference, you can, and then you associate yourself with people who want to actually help you. Look, we hungry. We want to help. We want you to come on in and get us busy. COVID's going on and things have slowed down a little. If you're really serious about employment, we're here for you. And for those that are not, we hope that that will change as well. So that's one thing about I miss about Workforce too, because you do have the hardcore ones that they even may be looking, listening. The ones that even would tell me to my face that I'm only here because my work first caseworker said I had to be. I don't want to be here. And that's okay. That lets us know that for those employers that are taking their time out to train people and want to help those individuals, then you may have to just go to Good, not to say the Goodwill retail store wasn't important, but because we're Goodwill, they just went to the Goodwill retail store and were still able to get their benefits. As long as they were calling in their absence and doing whatever the caseworker was asking them to do, they were still able to receive their benefits. But those that come into the program that want to move on, oh, you can make it. And your casework, those work first caseworkers really care as well, and they're trying to help you with your needs. So it's still a wonderful program. Maybe about a month ago, somebody called me and asked me, I understand you don't work with Work First anymore. The Goodwill Industries is not a partnership, and they were wondering, were they still in operation? Yes, they are. So if anyone is listening that would like to hear more about the Work First population or program, I'm sure if you call Davidson County Social Service Work First caseworkers would be glad to see if you qualify for it, because it is a wonderful program and you can move forward. You just have to put the work into it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ms. Rhonda, for sharing that story. The success stories are always so important. So did you want to add something to that, Ms. Sage?
Yeah, I just want to say that I really wish we had started with Miss Tracy Lockhart Green, because there's a lot to be said for one person stepping out and breaking the cycle.
Right.
And whether it's poverty, whether it's addiction, whether it's whatever, teenage pregnancy, it just takes that one person, but they have to link up with people such as Miss Wagner, who will say, well, you won't know until you try.
Right. And
So
actually,
she took that risk, the young lady, and she applied. And then who knew? If when she started, someone said, you'll wind up here, she probably would have laughed at them.
Yeah.
right.
But that's what the Bible says. Don't despise humble beginnings.
That's right.
Right?
And actually, here is Christy. Christy works for Davidson County Tax Office. So when you go pay your taxes, this is probably who you're going to see. She started out as a work experience at the tax department. The tax department signed a work first contract. She started out there, and she's still there. She's been there for many years now. So this can happen, but you have to put forth an effort.
And that, the reason I say I wish we had started there, because Whitney and I both know that sometimes we'll encounter people who, when you said know your worth, see, that's a process.
Right.
Everybody doesn't just come into knowing their worth. It's when they achieve one small thing that helps them believe, oh, I can do this, I can do that. And then they're willing to go further. So those two examples, I mean, because we could talk all day long about what you shared with me about there was a difference when people were applying, they came to you and they said, I'll do whatever you ask, just point me in the right direction.
Right.
Now people are presented with more anxiety, depression, more social issues that are making them feel despair and hopelessness.
Right.
So I really wish we had started it, because then we could have gone even further. We might have to have you back, Miss Wagner, because you are one of the local gems.
Thank you.
Out of this community. Yes.
Well, yes. Just want to again thank you so much, Ms. Rhonda, for taking time out again and sharing all your information. And always know everyone can come back and reference this video. You can definitely email us. And if you needed more information about exactly who the jobs that were listed, I have no problem giving you that information. And we have another comment. She said that Christy is great. She worked for Davis County for 20 years before retiring in 2018. So she's been able to work alongside Christy. So just vouching for, people being successful and actually doing well in what they're doing in their careers.
Right.
So before we wrap up,
Brandy's comment.
Oh, Brandy said, Ms. Rhonda, you're going to have to update those pictures.
But she also said Tracy is my cousin.
Yeah, I added that one.
Okay.
And she was saying that Tracy is her cousin. She said it's kind of odd, when she comes to her house to give her board papers.
Right.
But no, you know what, Miss Brandy, that should just again motivate you to see that your cousin has worked so hard and doing
That's
that.
right.
So I know that you truly enjoy probably having her as your family and just to
That's
know
right.
her story. So
That's right.
before we wrap up, I just want to again thank everyone for tuning in. And as everyone knows, we're going to ask a question at the end. I will put the answers from each whoever answers. For those listening, if you're not actually a part of Lexington Housing Authority, hold your answer. I do want the people who are actually residents, to be able to, get in on the giveaway. So, Ms. Rhonda, I'm gonna turn it over to you. You'll read the answer. We'll read it out loud, and then we'll go through who was correct and whatever. So.
Okay. This question is, I talked about Debbie Compton here, who is the Project Reentry Employment Specialist. Name something that she can assist you with.
Say it one more time. Let's repeat the question.
I spoke about Debbie Compton, Employment Specialist, her Project Reentry program. I explained what she can assist you with. What was that?
That's a good question.
So we'll give it I give it a couple minutes or so for people to think about that and go ahead and get into the chat. All right, we have a response. Bethany Ely from YouTube is saying people who just got out of jail or prison.
Right. You are correct, Bethany.
That is correct. All right. Well, thank you, Miss Bethany. Yes. So we will your gift will be available tomorrow after 10 a.m. Okay. So we'll take care of it that. So I just again want to thank everybody. Quick announcement. I'll put more information on our Facebook page. We're actually going to have a community event on May 27th, which is a Thursday. We're going to have food. We're going to have some information. So food trucks will be in both communities, which will be Terrence Lane as well as Southside. So I'll give more information on that. But if you want to share that information with your neighbor, let them know that we're going to be in the community. We're going to be social distancing as much as possible, wearing our masks and staying safe. But we have some good information and we got some food. Y'all come out for food for sure. So again, May 27th on a Thursday from 11 to 3. But I'll definitely blast out all that information. So we will see you all. Honestly, we won't have a virtual workshop in May. It would just be the community event that will be inside of the community. So thank you all. Have a wonderful day.
It was
Thank you,
wonderful.
guys.
Thank you, everyone.
All right.